The USGA has made an announcement, which it's quite interesting. Some exemption categories for the upcoming US Open. I'm going to highlight one of them in particular. Okay, so I'm just going to read this press release here. For the 2025 championship, a full exemption will be awarded to the top player who is not otherwise exempt and in the top three of the 2025 LIV Golf Individual Standings as of May 19th. In addition, a local exemption will be awarded to the top 10 players from the 2025 LIV Golf Individual Standings as of April 7th, 2025. This is huge news, Mark, in my mind, where we've seen Joaquin Niemann has received exemptions into the Masters and PGA Championship the last couple of years, including the upcoming PGA and Masters. A statement has now been released from new LIV Golf CEO Scott O'Neill, who said, "We're pleased that the USGA has formally created a new exemption for LIV Golf players to compete in the US Open and appreciate Mike Wan's leadership and commitment to growing the game of golf. Every golf fan in the world longs to see the greatest players in the world competing on golf's biggest stages at the majors. LIV Golf is committed to working hand in hand with golf's governing bodies to elevate the sport in all corners of the world." So this is interesting, Mark, and obviously LIV Golf is doing new things. Gone is Greg Norman, the new Fox deal on TV. They're playing under the lights all week, which is this week anyway for their debut, which is fascinating. But all I've said throughout this whole LIV Golf PGA Tour saga is we want to see the best players in the world play together more often, and this gives the players on LIV Golf an opportunity to play in one of the most storied golf tournaments ever with good play, and that will be rewarded.
Yeah, again, the majors can do whatever they want. I think it's got to stay limited because it's such a unique format and very much an exhibition-like format where you have, fields of 48 people and a shotgun and this and that. So if you open up any more spots than what they're suggesting, I'm not so sure you're getting the best players in the world playing against each other. I agree with Rory, or maybe a little bit more than Rory. I think Rory said the tour's missing 3 or 4 guys, I think he mentioned. I might suggest it's a little more than that. I think the tour and the majors are probably missing 7 or 8 guys, max. And here's an avenue, though, for those 7 or 8 guys and maybe a couple surprises in a year from now for 26 especially, to play their way into the U.S. Open. So I find it a little strange in the sense, though, Adam, that it was the USGA that did this and not, say, the Masters or somebody else. And the reason I say I find it strange that the USGA did this is because they're an Open. So to start handing out more qualifying spots or pre-qualifying spots to any tour is kind of strange when there's, a chance to go show up and go through Open qualifying, which people do every year. So that's the one head scratcher for me in this, is not that somebody decided they were going to create an avenue or a lane. It's who did it. The last person on my list would have been the USGA and R&A. It would have been the PGA of America or the Masters or somebody along those lines that would have created this. Do you follow where I'm going with that?
Yeah, 100%. And specifically with the PGA of America, with the Ryder Cup coming up this year. Now, obviously, Brooks Koepka played in the Ryder Cup back in Rome as a LIV golfer. He won the PGA Championship that year and was very well deserving of that spot. That's where I would have suspected the PGA of America specifically for the Ryder Cup to give players playing their best to have more of a chance to play in the Ryder Cup. As U.S. captain Keegan Bradley has said, he'll take the best 12 players in the world regardless of where they play. But now that the USGA has done this, Mark, do you foresee the Masters, Augusta National? Do you foresee the PGA of America, the R&A, perhaps doing something similar?
Yeah, possibly. We've never been able to guess anything. The only thing that you probably could have guessed in this whole saga and soap opera is that there's going to be bridges built now that Greg Norman's gone. There's no surprise here, right, that this happened, Adam, after Norman's out, because, Norman was the great disruptor. He didn't have a lot of friends. This has been a personal vendetta from Greg Norman since the early 90s, rightfully or wrongfully, depending on who you talk to, who you believe and who you don't believe. But the fact is, was always personal for Norman. It's been personal for 30 years or so. Now that he's gone, we see progress. Is the PGA Tour still working towards a deal with LIV? I mean, we don't know anything. Are they reimagining the PGA Tour schedule in 2026? Is a LIV Golf Series going to exist within the new PGA Tour season? Are they still going to be separate entities? Are they going to be one entity? Is it going to happen in the fall? I mean, we've heard everything and anything. So yeah, if LIV is going to continue to exist as a separate entity, then that tells me that there's probably not a real deal coming with the tour and that other majors will likely follow suit. Why are majors going to do this and follow suit if the tour and the LIV are going to, for lack of a better term, coexist and merge, right? It would make no sense. But, I mean, this adds more I have more questions now than I have answers.
It's such a good point, right? And if something was in the works, which we know June 6th, when that happened, we thought snap of our fingers and everyone would be back playing together. Clearly, that has not happened. And I'm also with you. I think that this basically signifies that we're nowhere near a deal between PGA Tour, LIV Golf, PGA Tour Enterprises, that sort of thing. This news has certainly come out of nowhere. I mean, the U.S. Open, it's not till June, right? And I'm guessing there was pressure from people at LIV Golf to get some news out, given that their season starts this week. Perhaps it's more motivation for their players to try or play better. Obviously, we've made jokes about people taking the money and not really giving it their all, that sort of thing, or their games falling off the face of the earth, that sort of thing. But this is big news for the USGA and LIV Golf. US Open, we'll definitely be seeing more LIV golfers at the US Open. And to what we talked about at the end of 2024 too, Mark, you got to think, if a deal is going to happen, it's got to happen at some point soon, because people have to plan. There have to be sponsors. There has to be moolah going into place. You got to think before the Players' Championship, or else this thing ain't happening.
Yeah, 100%. That's the one thing I've been consistent on, because I'm not going to pretend for a second that I know what's going on. And anyone who claims to believe that they know what's going on is lying. There's literally 3-4 people in a room that might have a clue. It might. And I'm sure that's a moving target. The one thing I've been very consistent on is Players' Championship, Masters at the latest. Masters, if we don't have an announcement, I believe, by Masters at the latest, then it's another lost year. Because how do you build the schedule? How do you line up sponsors and all the things that go in the Barnum and Bailey circus that is the PGA Tour? Trust me, it's like working for Barnum and Bailey. There are elephants, there is, trapeze artists, the amount of trucks, tents, etc. It is a lot, the PGA Tour, to make it work, to put it all together, volunteers, sponsors, etc. You cannot make an announcement in August and October and then all of a sudden reimagine your schedule. Not going to happen. So the only caveat I would say, Adam, in that statement is you could make an announcement in August and October for 2026 if LIV is going to operate still independently of the PGA Tour. Mm-hmm. Then it doesn't affect any scheduling, yada, yada. Everybody goes about their business, does what they were going to do. Same thing they did in 2025. Nothing changes, and lives LIV, and the tour is the tour. And at that point, then, I don't even know what we're talking about.
To recap the news that has just been announced earlier this morning, the USGA has announced for the 2025 U.S. Open, full exemption will be awarded to the top player who is not otherwise exempt and in the top 3 of the 2025 LIV Golf Individual Standings as of May 19th. In addition, a local exemption will be awarded to the top 10 players from the 2025 LIV Golf Individual Standings as of April 7th. Some big news there with LIV and the USGA in regards to the upcoming US Open taking place in June at Oakmont.